Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Championship so close you can taste it. Oliver Askew has won the Freedom 100. Side by side. And your new champion, Christian Rasmussen.
Welcome back, race fans, to Road to Indy TV Live. I'm your host, Parker Thompson, and I am here with Series Development Director Rob Howden. Rob, we've got an exciting afternoon coming up, but first, Indy Lights Race 1.
Yeah, pretty excited about seeing the Indy Lights drivers get out onto the racetrack. I think we were treated to a couple of really good races in USF 2000 and Indy Pro 2000, but with the push to pass, it's going to be even more exciting down these long straightaways. Indy Lights, I think, is going to be a great show.
It is. So we've got to talk, if we talk Indy Lights, we've got to talk Linus Lundqvist.
Wow, yeah.
First time here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the Indy GP. Goes out, not just puts it on pole, but he's been dominant. I mean, he's led almost every practice session. Well,
the interesting thing is, I think coming in, I always said that Linus, to me, was going to be that unknown quantity, right? Ran in a different series last year, was able to win the championship. Not a lot of competition in that particular series. So he comes in here with no pedigree. Like, no USF 2000, no Indy Pro. We don't know what he's got. He's cleared all of that out. Linus Lundqvist is obviously one of the primary championship contenders. When you're also beating the guys within your team, not just everybody else, I think that looks really good.
Well, and I think another storyline, you look, it's not like Global's had a lot of history here either.
Yep.
You know, this is their first time as a team collectively coming to IMS. You're up against teams like Andretti, who've got a shop here in Indianapolis.
That's exactly right.
I'm blown away, if we talk about that. Fourth place for Kyle Kirkwood. That's the best Andretti.
Yeah, it's surprising. You look at the Andretti's. Look at Robert McGinnis down in 10th position. Back in 2019, he won here on the road course at Indianapolis. So, again, it's Andretti, right? They're going to keep finding out speed throughout the entire weekend, and I wonder whether or not whether the track had changed a bit from yesterday. I don't know, but the bottom line is HMD has come out of the gate super strong. As kind of the powerhouse team to start the season.
It is the powerhouse team, and it was interesting, you watched Linus at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, which he had never been there, struggled a little bit.
True. Yeah.
Kind of came back with some vengeance, though. I think we realized that Linus doesn't lay down.
Well, I think what we saw through St. Petersburg was a brand new track he'd never been to, but one with no room for error.
Yeah.
A lot different here at Indianapolis. He can drop a wheel here and there, get comfortable with this racetrack, and this track's more of a point and shoot as opposed to carrying crazy amounts of speed through some of the corners. And I think for him, you watched him progress throughout the weekend, got better and better. He didn't set the world on fire at St. Pete, but he got better. Comes here, super comfortable, a technical track. We talked about it with 3 different really technical parts of this racetrack and 2 long straightaways. What do you think about him winning this race? Is he going to be? Can anybody challenge him, you think?
It's going to be really interesting. So when we talked about tire deg, I've talked with this with you. I've talked it with, we had Yuvan Sondramurthy on. He didn't seem to have any tire deg, but as a driver here, in my experience, tire deg is very high. What that means is as the race goes on, either the front or the rear, or sometimes in worst case scenario, both ends of the car fall off as the tires get older. These Cooper tires are good, but they can only last so long when you're going so fast through a lot of these corners. Really going to be interesting to see how the Indy Lights, it's so aero dependent, and we've talked about aero wash before, but we've got a real good grid of about 13 guys.
13 cars.
That's going to be tough. Those guys starting second or third, Linus has got a huge advantage in that clean air. The guys behind him are going to be in the dirty air. They're not going to get as much downforce, and when you don't have as much downforce, those Coopers get hurt.
Well, it's the one beauty of this particular racetrack. At least there is some point and shoot, right? It's not all about long sweeping corners like you have at Barber or some of the ones we have at St. Petersburg, where you can get that really mid-corner aero wash. There are those big long runs onto the straightaway where you can make some good dive bomb moves to the bottom. Speaking of tire dig, though, when I'm talking to guys, tell me what you're talking about. Because this track is so low grip, you slide the car around a little bit.
Yeah.
You do more trail braking. You do abuse the tires a little bit because there's just not enough grip.
For sure, and I mean, turn 4 is one of the highest G road course corners that we face on the road to Indy.
Didn't know that.
Like it's a third gear, sometimes even a possible fourth gear corner.
Okay.
It's fast. A lot of people don't realize that wears a car out. That left front gets really hurt by the end of the race, especially when you're behind guys. So it's going to be interesting to see. I would say Linus has the advantage. But the one guy I'm really impressed with, I have to say, he was down and out in St. Petersburg.
That's true.
And he comes back here, gets his things back in order, puts it on the front row. Toby Sari.
Yeah, I think for Toby, I mentioned this on IndyCar Radio for the very first practice or session today, qualifying. I said he needs to come back. This is the opportunity for Toby to say, hey, you know what, I like this racetrack. Juncos has been good here in the past. I can come back, I can show you what I have, because he really has to have a couple of good runs here in the next little while if he wants to keep himself in the championship contention. What's
really interesting about Toby, and I've got some insight to him, I've got to spend a lot of time with him at the start of the year, and the guy is just so strong mentally. If you asked any race car driver after a disastrous St. Pete how they were going to approach Indy GP, most of them would be trying to change their life. They'd be seeing a shrink. They'd be changing their diet. They'd be working out harder.
Doing something big.
Toby, unrockable there. He's like, whatever. We're just going to go after it again. We're not going to change our approach. We're going to stick to the game plan. And those Juncos guys, I think he's got a lot of faith in them. They might not have showed it in St. Pete, but they come back here. They were in top 2 pretty much all day yesterday, and then they qualify in the front row today.
Well, and the beauty of this particular racetrack, really where that push to pass can come into play, right? 50 extra horsepower, 15 seconds per push, and I believe 15 applications of the push to pass. The 2 big long straightaways here. You can only do it in offense, not in defense. So when you get that run, hopefully it'll produce some passing where guys are going to be able to use that 50 and get by in 1 or get by in 7.
Well, and one thing I want to touch on, you're 100% right. It is made for offense, but the loophole is if you're in a pack and you're pack racing, you can use it for defense as long as you're within a second of the guy in front. So it really changes the game. And when you come to a track like Indy GP where it's already a cluster for passing, I mean, we watched in the races, there was multiple lead changes, and not just lead changes, but you've got guys, 2-for-1s, right? A 2-for-1 is you go to pass one car, you end up with 2. Plenty of that happening, a little bit of contact as well. That's expected here at the Indy GP. It's going to be really interesting when they use that push to pass.
Yeah, and like you said, the 2-for-1. If somebody's making a pass on you and you're caught on the outside, and there's all these back and backs, like the turn 1, 2, 3. If you're on the outside, you're on the outside for a while. You could lose not even 2, but maybe 3 spots, depending on if it's pack racing or not. Another thing to look at, I think, interestingly, is how good Carlin's starting to kind of dial in a bit. Christian Bogle's been really, really consistent. I'm super happy with Christian and how he's continuing to get better. But I like Alex Peroni, how he's getting more and more comfortable. We're going to go to tracks that he's more accustomed to, like a Road America. I think more a track up his alley. He did great at St. Pete. Obviously likes the street course as well, but I like Alex Peroni in the top 5 too.
I like Alex Peroni in the top 5. I talk about Toby, I talk about Alex, Europeans that are bringing some good aggression, some good clean aggression, and that's what excites me. When I see a guy like Toby on the front row to challenge Linus, I don't just say that Linus is going to walk away with this one. I think on starts and restarts, he's going to have his hands full. That green machine is going to be hungry.
I think another thing on my checklist is you use the word hungry. That's what I was going to use. Who in that top 4, top 5, top 6 are really, really hungry? They're going to want to go to the lead early here. The cool thing about being in the lead, you get all the aero on the front wing.
Yeah.
Take care of the tires so you're not scrubbing those tires off over the long distance of the race. Plus, you can serve in all those push to passes. You don't need to use them. If indeed you do get past, you got a ton that you're able to blow through. I wonder if in my mind, if my thought is correct that Toby Sauer is going to be all or nothing in turn 1, because we know turn 1's been pretty crazy. Does he do everything he can to lead out of turn 1?
I think he's pretty good on cold tires. So I'm not going to say he's going to do everything he can. I see a lot of aggression from him, but also at Barber when we saw him, he knew not to crash the car. He knew that it was a long race, especially with the fall off. It's a longer race in Indy Lights. Not only is it longer, those Cooper tires take more load. It's a faster, heavier car. I think he's going to be in there for the end, but you brought up a great point, Rob, saving that push to pass for the end. It's pretty easy to sit back and wait here in the draft, and if you can conserve your tires, conserve your car for the end of the race, and you've got that push to pass, That is a deadly combo.
And I think one of the other things in the mindset potentially for a Toby Sowery, is he able to get himself back into a championship? The cool thing about Indy Lights, there's the scholarship to win, to be able to go to IndyCar, $1.25 million scholarship to go to run 3 races next year in the NTT IndyCar Series. But we've seen a lot of great examples of guys that finish second in the championship find their way into the series as well. If you're able to get to second and not throw away results, I think that's what the team owners are looking for. And I honestly believe we're at the cusp of we're going to have kind of a transition of a lot more road to Indy drivers coming into IndyCar, because there are guys that are going to be retiring soon. Maybe not next year, but the next couple of years. You throw out a Ryan Hunter-Ray. Some of these guys are getting into their late 30s, early 40s, or mid-40s. Well, you know what? They're going to be hanging it up. So you got to be good now to make sure that the team owners in IndyCar are going to see what you're doing.
I couldn't agree more. Rob touches on a great point again, which is it doesn't just take winning on the road to Indy to make you move up the ladder. And that's the case for my career too, right?
100% it is, yeah.
Team owners see that a driver's maybe overperforming for the car and team. That gets noticed. And the same in IndyCar. You look at Rinus VeeKay, right, with Juncos Racing. Didn't win the championship, but
that's it.
Showed that he overperformed for the car that year and went out and got pretty cool IndyCar ride.
Second place 2 times for Jack Harvey as well. You think he may have been down and out. No, he keeps his head in it. He's able to put together a deal with Mike Shank. Now he's got a full-time ride. He's got Elio Castroneves alongside with him, and potentially will have a full-time guy next year. So I think you want to win the championship. But P2, P3, sometimes, man, that says who you are, and that's what turns the head of an IndyCar owner.
It is. So, Rob, I have to ask you again before we cut over to race 1. Who's your pick going in here?
I thought you were going to start by saying that I got the pick wrong and that you beat me in the USF 2000, because you did call the Pap, but you said Pabst drivers. Like you gave yourself 2 or 3 or 4.
Well, they were second and third, so that was a pretty good bet.
It worked for you, no doubt about it. With a good win for you and Sundar Murthy, by the way. Let me see. Who am I going to?
I'll let you pick 2 this time. How about that?
That's okay. Again, how do you say no about Linus Lundqvist? But I think Toby Sowery could be really good as well. I just think Linus is unbelievably good right now. Let me put it this way. I'll pick Linus, but I'd rather see Toby win because I want to see more winners. I want everybody to win at least one race.
Well, I'm going to pick Toby because there's some invested interest there. I think he's hungry for a win. So
I like it.
I'm going to pick Toby. Bit of an underdog this race, but at the same time, I think he could surprise a lot of people. And with that being said, let's also talk about something that's probably affecting these drivers more than it's talked about, the halo-type device. Obviously, keeping them safe, but we've talked so much about aero wash, that's got to affect the car. Now, I know I talked with the engineers, and they said, we can't see it. I talked with the drivers. They don't think they can see it, but when you add that much weight to there, it's got to affect the car somehow.
Well, we were talking about the fact if we were going to see a new track record potentially, right, on IndyCar radio, and Davey Hamilton, of course, came up and said, hey, listen, we bolted all this extra weight on the top of the race car. If you're going to bolt weight on a car to make it faster, you don't put it at the very top center of gravity on a race car. So, number one, the different weights, the higher weights, the way they move the car around when it jacks from left to right. And then there has to be some level of turbulent air that just doesn't make the car as clean.
Well, we're just the voices on the road to Indy. Let's go and talk to the professionals and see what they think before race 1 of Indy Lights. We're here in the Indy Lights paddock to kick off our first segment of Talkin' Tech with Thompson for 2021. One of the major differences for the IL-15 is the addition of the Halo-type device for 2021. Let's go see if we can find some drivers and engineers to give us a little inside scoop. I'm here with reigning 2019 Indy Pro 2000 champion Kyle Kirkwood to run us through what it's like to drive with this on the car. Kyle, what, first off, visually is different about this Halo-type device?
I'm a huge fan of the Halo-type device. I've driven the F3 and the Formula E with Halos previously, so I've actually got a little bit of experience with it. Compared to the CFE, it's honestly the same. It's the same range of vision that you're looking at kind of right there, and you look around it. It's like putting your finger in front of your face. Your finger turns into 2 when you're looking off in the distance. That's the way I look at it. So you get in the car and you kind of forget about it. But when you first get in it, it's kind of like a sense of safety when you have that around you, and you honestly feel way safe with the car.
So we've got the driver's perspective, but that's only one part of what makes a championship run. Now we need an engineer's perspective. I'm here with Yancey Diotalevi. Yancey, you've been a championship-winning engineer in many different categories. Let's talk about not just the weight. Let's talk about, obviously, the weight is up a lot higher. It's changing your center of gravity. What has that done at all, if anything?
Weight-wise, it didn't add too much weight, so it's not as much of an impact as I guess the IndyCar would have been, where the IndyCar added 60 pounds. This only added about 22 pounds, so the drivers didn't really even know that it was there, to be honest, on the first few runs that we ran. Setup-wise, we were able to run here competitive times, and yeah, our setup really didn't change all that much for it. So,
Yancey, thank you very much for your time.
thank you.
At TopCon, we know a thing or two about a smooth surface. Roads and highways, piece of cake. Airports, let's just say it'll be the smoothest landing you've ever had. But what about when you want to go fast? Real fast? No, faster. We've helped cars go faster than they've ever gone before. Broken a few lap records along the way. Want the best paving performance? Go to the source. TopCon, always one step ahead.
Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
Championship so close you can taste it.
Oliver asks you
Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome down to pit lane again here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're getting set for our third Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires event of the day. It's the drivers in the Indy lights, presented by Cooper Tires, right behind me, getting ready to fire things up. We have a tremendous grid of drivers, all looking to try to win that $1.25 million scholarship to move to the NTT IndyCar Series in 2022. Following in the footsteps of tremendous drivers like Pato O'Ward, Oliver Askew, and those who have worked their way through the entire road to Indy. Looks like we're about 5 minutes away still from the call to fire up the engines here behind the drivers in their Dallara IL-15 chassis. Let's have a look at the grid. 13 drivers set to go. Starting in the 13th position inside of row number 7 out of Louisiana, rookie driver running for J. Howard Driver Development, Christian Bogle in the number 7, a 1:16.057. His qualifying time, he'll start in the 13th position. Moving now to row number 6 on the outside from Ontario, Canada, in their own family team, Passera Racing. Antonio Serravalle, the rookie driver in the number 11. This team coming together just a couple of months before the start of the season. They worked their tails off to get the car on the racetrack, and he's already delivered that team multiple top 10 finishes. Alongside Serravalle, driver born in Russia but now living in Los Angeles, California, the number 59 for HMD Motorsports, a veteran of the Road to Indy who worked his way through USF 2000 and Indy Pro. His rookie season in Indy lights, it's NIKITA LASTOCHKIN in the number 59. Up now to the top 10, row number 5 on the outside. 2 years ago, before the hiatus of the Indy Lights program in 2020, he was a winner here on the road course at Indianapolis out of Mount Kisco, New York. Robert McGinnis will start the number 27 in the 10th position for Andretti Autosport. Inside of row number 5, starting in the 9th position, one of the rookies here for Global Racing Group, Benjamin Pedersen in the number 25, celebrated a birthday earlier this week. He'll start from the 9th position. Working now up to row number 4 on the outside. This was the event, this was the track where he broke out last year in the Indy Pro 2000 category. Stingray ROBB in the number 2 for Juncos Racing from Payette, Idaho, swept the Indy Pro 2000 race last year. He'll roll off from that 8th position outside of row number 8. Inside of that row in the number 17, it's Devlin DeFrancesco for Andretti Steinbrenner Autosport, Indy Pro 2000 runner-up last year on row number 7. Rather, row number 4 in 7th position. First and second last year in Indy Pro 2000, starting alongside each other on row 4. Up now to row number 3, Daniel Frost, the number 68 multi-time race winner in the Indy Pro 2000 category. Rookie this year in Indy Lights. Frost out of Singapore for Andretti Autosport in the number 68, starting 6th. Inside of that row for Carlin Racing in the Blundstone machine out of Australia, it's the rookie Alex Peroni in the number 5. Moving now to row number 2, fourth starting spot on the outside. This driver has won championships already in USF 2000 and Indy Pro. Looking to go 3 for 3 in Road to Indy titles. Kyle Kirkwood out of Jupiter, Florida in the number 28. For Andretti Autosport starting 4th. Inside that row to Chicago, Illinois, the number 79 of David Malukas for HMD Motorsports, already a winner on the season and looking to extend his point lead. 13 drivers in the field, 2 on the front row. On the off pole, a couple of rough starts to the season, but he's a race winner in 2019 from Cambridge, England, now living here in Indianapolis, Indiana. In the number 51 for Juncos Racing, your number 2 starter, Toby Sowery. Driver on the pole position, though, a bit of an unknown coming in with some pedigree, but he has shown that he is a championship contender for sure. From Sweden in the number 26, running for Global Racing Group with HMD Motorsports, a 1:15.097 in qualifying, Linus Lundqvist, the rookie, starting on the pole position alongside Sowery. So getting set to fire things up right now. Again, 13 drivers on the grid and getting ready to go, as we will get these drivers to roll out for the first of 2 Indy Lights races here this particular weekend of the GMR Grand Prix. Some track work being done by the AMR safety crew around the racetrack here right now. We're being told potentially 5 minutes before we fire things up, so still a bit of time to come here. And again, as I said before, the drivers here all chasing that championship to potentially win the scholarship to move into the NTT IndyCar Series in 2022. Drivers all strapped into their race cars. Of course, everyone on the Dallara IL-15 chassis. This car, of course, debuted back in 2015 and has been a fantastic addition to the entire lineup of the Road to Indy. For those of you who have been following Indy Lights potentially for the last couple of years, you'll see the brand new Halo type device, which we installed in the off season and really amped up the level of safety for the drivers here, and also has provided maybe a little bit of a challenge for the engineers. A lot more weight up top. We wonder what kind of aerodynamic effect it has on the race car itself. One of the things that will help produce some exciting racing here this particular day is the push-to-pass that we have in Indy Lights. Unlike IndyCar, where you can use it defensively as well, you can only use it offensively here in Indy Lights. 50 extra horsepower for a 15-second blast, 15 different applications of that push-to-pass throughout the race, and with these long straightaways here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, I expect to see a lot of passing in both Turn 1 and Turn 7. Once again, always tough on the drivers when you go into a hold like this. We were expecting to go green and fire up these engines about a minute ago, but the drivers, again, as I said, all buckled into the seats. They've got the helmet surrounds on, getting ready to go. Series officials giving the 3-minute call down here on pit lane to all the drivers getting set to go. We'll get the command to fire engines from our good friends from Cooper Tires. Nikki Stauber will give us that in a couple of minutes. All 13 of these drivers are ready to flip the switch and get things underway. So again, you've had a chance to see the first 2 rungs of the Road to Indy already. USF 2000 having their first race of what will be a triple header weekend for them. They'll be back on the racetrack this afternoon, right after this Indy Lights race. And of course, Indy Pro 2000 put on a show for us as well. They have 2 races to go tomorrow. They'll start things off at 8 o'clock in the morning. Bright and early tomorrow morning, it'll be a cool run for those drivers in Indy Pro 2000. They'll race again later on in the day. Indy Lights with 2 separate qualifying sessions, one tomorrow morning as well for race number 2, which will take place right before the GMR Grand Prix here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Great to have everybody here. Those of you tuning in all over the U.S. on the Peacock Network, as well as those internationally on the Races YouTube channel, or in Canada at ROBB TV. Thrilled to have you tuned in with us. And we'll see whether or not Linus Lundqvist can get his second win of the season, or if Toby Sowery in that 51 for Juncos Racing can break through and add another name to the win list for the 2021 season. Key for the drivers, of course, 5 sessions on the weekend. 1 practice, the 2 qualifying sessions, 2 races, just 4 sets of tires. And finally being given the 1-minute call down here on pit lane. The track, as we said, it was under inspection. I believe they've deemed it ready to race, so just 1 minute to go, getting the drivers the opportunity to fire up here, and we will go racing with 13 drivers at Indy Lights presented by Cooper Tires. A lot of excitement around the series. We expect to have at least 14 and potentially 15 drivers later on in the season, and the momentum leading into 2022 has been tremendous. Potential to have a couple new teams as well. A lot of good things going here right now for the Indy Lights program. So again, it will be Lundqvist and Sowery on row 1, Malukas and Kirkwood on row 2, Peroni and Frost row 3, DeFrancesco and ROBB row 4, Pedersen and McGinnis row 5, LASTOCHKIN and SERRAVALLE row 6, and Bogle on row 7. Now let's head down to Nikki Stauber from Cooper Tires.
On behalf of everyone at Cooper Tires, drivers, start your engines!
And engines coming to life, ladies and gentlemen. Now we'll send it back up to the booth.
All right, thank you, Robin. Nice job, Nikki. The engines have been fired. Indy Lights Grand Prix. Race number 1. This will be a 30-lap race. Should be fun.
The 2 races we've seen already today on the road to Indy have both had some pretty good levels of excitement in them, and late lead changes and so on. So we expect a lot more of that as we work through. You're riding on board with DEVLIN DeFrancesco as the field gets ready to roll from the pit lane and begin the formation laps before the green flag.
And I have 2 laps, I'm being told, before we go green. Here's the field pulling away. David Malukas is the star of the field so far with 2 wins. He's got 94 points so far. One at Barber and at St. Pete. Lucas, and here comes the field. Linus Lundqvist ready to roll. Right up front. Sowery right there with us. Malukas 3rd, Kirkwood 4th, Peroni 5th, and Frost in 6th. They are warming up those cars, leaving pit lane.
Bit of a longer distance for this 3rd and top rung on the road to Indy ladder for this race. It'll be 30 laps around the 14-turn road course. And drivers again with a couple of laps here to get settled in before the green flag and that chase off into the always exciting turn number 1.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of great races already with the other series today. Looking for more of the same as DeFrancesco gets going. DEVLIN DeFrancesco warming up that car, shaking it down, getting those tires warmed up.
Driver from Miami, Florida, starting back in 7th position for Andretti Steinbrenner Autosport. 2nd in the Indy Pro 2000 Championship last season. Of course, Indy Lights was on a hiatus year a season ago because of all of the COVID closures and things. He was the series Rookie of the Year a year ago, and now back here in looking for a victory in Indy Lights. The top step on the ladder in the road to Indy.
And the coolest name in the field, Stingray ROBB, ready to go. He's back in 8th, and yes, that's really his name.
The Indy Pro 2000 champion from a season ago was ROBB. And on pole position, Linus Lundqvist from Stockholm, Sweden, now making his home here in Indianapolis. British Formula 3 champ a few years ago, 2018. Ran some of the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Series and a variety of European series in the wait time. And last year, ran the Formula Regional Americas Championship by Honda. 17 races, he won 15 of them.
Goodness. Talking about making a name for yourself.
And now starting on pole here at Indianapolis, already with a victory under his belt this season, won the season opener for Indy Lights down in Birmingham at Barber.
One to go at the line. The field being told next time by Alan, they're going to take the green, going to turn them loose for this 30-lap showdown.
That always interesting funnel from this front straightaway off into turn 1 and quickly to turn 2. Do you want to be drivers right for turn 1 or drivers left for turn 2? And how will they go through there? Will they play nice or will it get a little physical? Beautiful day here in Indianapolis.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day. Temperatures climbing, just a slight breeze. And again, just to look across the track and down the way and to see fans sitting up in the grandstand. So glad you're here. And again, we got to keep reminding you that to keep that safe distance between yourself and others and wear a face covering while you're on the grounds. Hand sanitizer can be found throughout the property, so please wash your hands regularly. And as we obey the Marion County Health game plan so we can go racing.
And happy for it. For sure.
Yeah.
So 13 drivers, 30 laps with a winner's trophy at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway up for grabs as we continue on this opening day of GMR Grand Prix weekend and the month of May.
It feels so good, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
The field's over in turn 10, setting up for 11. That big sweeping turn heading into 12. And again, we're going to looking forward to that big start and how they're going to funnel into turn number 1. And if you've never seen turn number 1, you're in for an entertainment. It's just fun to watch them getting up through the gears and then heavy on the brakes, making that big old right-hand turn. All right, field in 13, pace car pulling away. You guys ready to go? Here we go. Indy Lights Grand Prix. Field is in 13. 2 by 2 they go. Eyes on the starter. High above the racetrack, watching and waiting for the green. Nice looking 2 wide field. They are lined up and ready to go. Gotta love it. Eyes on the starter. He's watching the field, watching, and the green flag waves. The 26 gets a jump. Lundqvist got the jump right there at the start. He was up to the gears. 3 wide they go. To the outside, Sowery trying to make a move. Lundqvist holding on.
3 wide for third. That was tight.
They made it. They're clean through turn number 1. Good sign. Lundqvist holding on to that spot up front. Lundqvist, Sowery battling side by side. DeFranceesco is getting involved.
7th place. DeFranceesco runs now with the onboard camera. Here they come down the straightaway. Turn number 7, the hard braking zone again.
Lundqvist still in command. Sowery looked to the outside, settled back in. Single file they go.
Through turn 11. Now down onto the short chute, and the hard braking for turns 12 and 13.
Stingray Robb trying to hold on to 8th spot right there. And Lundqvist had a nice jump. Let's see what the lead is as he comes around for lap number 1. 29 to go.
Yeah, great job by Lundqvist, holding the speed down, keeping the formation tight, and when he was ready to launch, he launched.
Did a nice job. His lead is 0.7 of a second.
Challenge for second here,
yes,
as Malukas tries to find a way around Sowery. Little overshoot in turn number 1.
Yeah, I think Sowery held on to the position for now, at least.
That was Frost, who had a little trouble in turn 1. Might cost him another spot here. He's back to 6th place.
DeFranceesco putting the pressure on.
Ooh, big block there.
Yeah, that was a block, wasn't it?
Sowery with the move to try and keep Malukas behind him. He'll do so through turn 7. But now Malukas, well, shut off again.
Yeah, he looked to the outside this time and held him off. Now they'll battle. Battling again. Malukas trying to get around the 51 of Sowery. Not for now. Yeah, well, it'd be interesting to see if race officials have anything to say about that move there over before turn 7. Here they come off of 13 again.
Back down this main straightaway to complete lap number 2. And all that racing for second place has allowed Linus Lundqvist to open up a gap for the race lead.
Yeah, he was at 0.7 of a second last time. Now it's up to 0.9. Let's watch in turn number 1. This is a great passing zone. Malukas stays in third.
Toby Sowery still with his hands full with David Malukas as they fight for second place. Fourth place now is
Kirkwood.
That's Kirkwood, yeah, still hanging in fourth place. Kyle Kirkwood, the Florida driver. And Alex Peroni running where he started in 5th. Again, a defensive line taken down into turn number 7 by Sowery, and he will succeed in holding off Malukas through 8.
And he tried the exact same move last lap. Didn't work again. Now he's going to try to dive the inside. Gets cut off right there. Woo, that was close.
That was a door shut right on your toes.
Lucas came diving in. We've got a car off track.
That was NIKITA LASTOCHKIN. Back on course, and we stay under green.
Yeah, Malukas made a dive, and Sowery closed that door hard. I think it's only a matter of time before Malukas gets around him, though. He has had a couple of great moves. Here they come off of the turn, headed down towards turn number 1. Lundqvist's lead is 1.8 seconds. He's really stretched that lead. Side by side for second, and Malukas gets by this time. So Malukas makes the move to second.
He's making his runs off of the twisty parts of the course, which is putting him in position to try and make those passes at the end of the straightaway, and this time he gets it done. Now Sowery will have hands full with Kyle Kirkwood, who will try and find a run here for third position.
Lundqvist, Sowery, Malukas, Kirkwood, or Peroni, the top 5. Frost is 6. And we are 3 laps into it. Great racing. No changes up front. Lundqvist with a solid start. He has had command so far. Now Malukas will try to see if he can reel him in. Last time by, the lead was 1.8 seconds. Coming off of 13. Lap 4 completed. Look at that lead. Stretching that lead. It's over 2 seconds now.
Let him get busy behind you.
Yeah.
You're the race leader, right?
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Just what you want to see.
Let me have the clean air while you two fight it out back there.
So Linus Lundqvist, the 22-year-old from Stockholm, Sweden, driving for Global Racing Group with HMD Motorsports, looking for what would be his second win of this young season. But a lot of time still to go here at Indianapolis in this one.
Lots of racing left. He's smooth, isn't he?
Yeah.
Very smooth through those twisty turns. Malukas now getting a little clean air. See if he can close that gap. Last time by, 2-second lead.
Sowery is third, Kirkwood fourth, Peroni fifth, then Frost, DeFrancesco, McGinnis, ROBB, and Bogle rounding out the top 10.
This is lap 5 now, going 30 laps of this feature show. 30 laps. Lead is 2.4 seconds, almost 2.5 second lead for Lundqvist. Linus Lundqvist cruising along. DeFrancesco trying to make a push. He's 7th.
Devlin from Miami, driving for Andretti Steinbrenner Autosport. Young driver whose lists Juan Pablo Montoya as a close family friend and advisor. And that's a good one to get advice from, for sure.
For sure. Having a 2-time Indy 500 champion to lean on.
Robert McGinnis right behind him, trying to find a way to close in a little bit. McGinnis from New York City. Philosophy major at Fordham University.
Is that right? Way too smart for us. Watching Lundqvist, Malukas, Sowery, 1, 2, 3. No changes up front. Lundqvist has led from the beginning. Had that great jump on the opening lap right there at the start, and he has just maintained pace across the yard of bricks. 2.4 seconds last time by. This time he's up to 2.3. So Malukas reeling him in just a little bit. There's a beautiful live look.
Here for 7th place, McGuinness takes a look inside. DeFrancesco cuts him off, tries the crossover move, but ran out of room there. And again, this for 7th and 8th places, rather, in the running order.
Yeah, he looked to the inside, went to the outside. That's pretty smooth. Almost worked.
I was trying to come up with some creative pun for how a philosophy major would work that into his racing. The only thing I could think of is Zen. But again, way too smart for me. Good look on the replay of that challenge.
Yeah, that was cool. Just ran out of real estate there.
So this is the best fight for position in the running order at the moment on the Speedway as Lundqvist continues to hold a steady lead of a little over 2 seconds on 2nd place Malukas.
Lap number 7 completed. And the lead is still over 2 seconds.
Couple tenths less than it was a couple of laps ago.
Slowly reeling him in.
But just like in some of the earlier races today that we saw, you know, how much is are you protecting tires? How much trying to just keep it cool to have something left for later? Remember, we've seen the Indy Pro 2000 Series race turn completely, looked to be completely going one way, and a late yellow flag turn the result around. So anything can happen here, even though Lundqvist is solidly in command in the early stage of this one.
Yeah, he seems smooth. He seems like he's having no issues right now. 7 laps completed, and he's led them all. Just having a cruise. .1 seconds lead. Sowery, Kirkwood, Peroni. And again, these guys also have a push to pass. Means they can get on the juice for a certain amount of time to try to make a pass. A little extra horsepower. When do you use it? Waiting. One minute 17.4 last time by. It takes him 1 minute 17 seconds to get around the 2.5 mile course. Is cruising 2.4, going to work.
Challenge to the inside of turn 1 and a spin. Christian Bogle just got there going a little too quickly and didn't have the angle to turn through the corner.
You could see that coming, couldn't you? He just started losing the handling of that thing and spun it, but he's still under power, back on track in 10th before that happened. Here's a replay. Chasing that 2 of Stingray ROBB. Goes to the inside. Yep.
And clip the curb on top of it to send it around.
Don't want to mess with that curb. Another replay. You see him diving to the inside in that blue car. And around he goes. So Lundqvist, Malukas, Sowery, Kirkwood. Peroni is 5th. Frost still 6th.
Nine laps complete in the race. 21 to go now in this Indy Lights Grand Prix of Indianapolis. First of a couple of times we'll see the Indy Lights cars on the speedway during this GMR Grand Prix weekend. Don't forget, at the conclusion of this race, we get ready to line up the NTT Data Indy cars for qualifying and the run for pole position and the Firestone Fast 6.
Let's see who wants to be in that Fast 6 this afternoon. That will be fun, so don't forget to stick around for that.
Good look at David Malukas in that 79 car, the 19-year-old from Chicago, the championship leader in the Indy Lights Series, entering the weekend. 2 wins in the opening 4 rounds of this season. This is second year of Indy Lights.
Oh, and he's 19.
And he's 19.
Yeah. Has a pole position to his name this year. 94 points, cruising along up front. David Malukas, does he have enough to get around Lundqvist late in this race? He's got lots of time, 21 laps to go. DeFrancesco's kind of been in 7th here. He's just kind of been biding his time in 7th.
Can tell as the days gone on and the track temperature has built up, the conditions have gotten more challenging for these drivers to try and manage their way through. Some of them, especially when we get the onboard shot, really fighting that steering wheel.
And you also notice the speed back for Lundqvist. He's picked it up. Malukas had cut it down to about a 2-second margin. Now it's up to 2.5. So a solid performance by the 26 from Stockholm, Sweden, Linus Lundqvist, going to work here. Stockholm, Sweden, lives in Indianapolis, Global Racing Group. HMD Motorsports, having a great day so far. 20 laps to go.
So little lock up there by Alex Peroni and a miss over in turns 12 and 13.
Taking the shortcut here.
That's not the easiest thing on the chassis of the race car.
That's going to upset the apple cart, isn't it? Mess with the balance of that car as he has some laps to complete. Here's a replay. Over 13, heavy on the brakes. Said, nope, can't make the turn. So he swings wide and then decides he's going to come across the grass.
Yeah, instead of just taking the escape road and stopping and going forward.
Yeah, that's really hard on that chassis. Watch the bump coming up. Lead still 2.5. DeFrancesco chasing Peroni. That's over in turn 7. Not close enough to make a move. Still trying to get into that slipstream. Trying to get up there, draft a little bit more, and try to make a move. So far, it hasn't worked. But lots of time. 19 laps remaining.
Daniel Frost has moved up a spot in the running order. So after starting in 6th, now moving up into 5th position in the 68 car.
Fastest lap so far is 1 minute 17 seconds by your leader. Yeah, Bogle's in 12th place now after that spin down there in 1. Malukas 2.7 seconds back now in 2nd. Lundqvist stretching it out again. Biggest lead he's had so far. 2.7 seconds.
A little side by side right ahead as going through was Daniel Frost in the 68.
Top 4 have remained the same. Top 4 still the same. Lundqvist, Malukas, Sowery, and Kirkwood. Having a solid day, so your podium now, those top 3.
Yeah, this race that we're looking at on the big screens is the closest for position on the track for the moment. That is 5th and 6th and 7th with Frost, Peroni, and DeFrancesco. Frost and Peroni particularly right here. Frost with the defensive line. Peroni looking to the outside of turn 1. We'll try the crossover. Can't get the inside position for the right-hand turn 3.
Really worked it, didn't he? Outstanding effort, though. Fun to watch, but not enough space to make that move. How about again? Here comes the 5 car again. Peroni trying to make a move. Side by side with 68. Almost touched tires with Frost. Hanging on to it. Almost touched tires there. Back to single file they go. Let's see if he tries it again. Nope, not for the moment. Back to single file through turn 11.
See if he can get close enough to him coming off of turn 14 to make a run down into turn 1 like he attempted last time.
That's kind of the spot, isn't it? You pick up the pace right here and try to close the gap and then make a move down in 1. All right, here they come. Great battle going on here. That's Frost and Peroni. DeFrancesco in the yellow car. Here they come again. How about the outside this time, Alan? Nope.
That's what you were hoping for, though. Make the other guy overcook it a little bit. And the mistake made there by Frost into turn 1. And Peroni goes through and moves into 5th place.
Very patient move right there. Patient move. Meanwhile, where's the race leader? He's already cruising through turn 7. It's going to be 15 laps from the finish at the line.
Now Daniel Frost back to 6th position. You wonder if he might have flat spotted that tire or damaged it a little bit, and that lockup down in turn 1, ever so brief as it was. So Devlin DeFrancesco trying to see if he can continue to apply some pressure and maybe pick up a spot. So now this would be for 6th and 7th place that we watch.
And I'll keep checking that time for you. Down just a little bit. Malukas 2.4 seconds back in 2nd. Salary is 4.8 seconds back from the leader. So it's a 1-2-3 showdown. There's DeFrancesco looking again. Not happening for this time around. Pretty much single file racing all the way around the track for the moment. Everybody's kind of settled in here for the 15 laps to go.
Yep. And halfway through the race. And so far, all of the laps led by Linus Lundqvist. And holding steady in his gap back to 2nd place, David Malukas. Top 3 separated by now almost 5 seconds, with another couple of seconds back to 4th, 5th, 6th, and so on.
You could say he's dialed in. Lundqvist is dialed in. Trying to be perfect on each and every turn.
So much at stake for these drivers in this Indy Lights Series. Of course, the champion with the scholarship and the opportunity to get a drive in 3 races, including the Indianapolis 500 next season.
How cool is that, huh?
Yeah. We've seen so many come through this series that will be in the field for this year's Indianapolis 500-mile race.
I think we had 22 Indy Lights drivers in the Indy 500 last year. 22 had come up through the feeder system. So it works. It's a great formula, fun to watch, and these drivers are so talented. And that margin of error is so slim. Got to be on your P's and Q's. And Linus Lundqvist is doing just that right now. He has 13 laps to go as he comes off of turn number 14. There he is, the race leader, Lundqvist. .4 seconds. Salary is 5 seconds back in 3rd.
Everybody pretty steady all the way back through the top 10. These Indy Lights cars will turn around and run. Well, they'll both qualify and race again tomorrow. race number 2 for the Indy Lights Series, part of our GMR Grand Prix race day tomorrow at 12:45. They will go for round 2 of the weekend. Hope you'll be here with us for that, as well as the GMR Grand Prix for the NTT Data IndyCar Series as we get the month of May up to speed here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
We are not messing around. 2 full days of track activity for you. Tomorrow is going to be just as fun. Racing all day long, qualifications and racing for all these series, and it's just going to be a great day. The weather forecast looks great, so make plans to be with us again tomorrow. Still lots of activity today. We got IndyCar qualifications coming up in a bit as Linus Lundqvist is just out there showing off. He's cruising. 12 to go for the race leader. 12 to go for the race leader, who has a solid lead right now. He's got a 2.5 second lead. Sowery's now almost 6 seconds back. 4th place is 8 seconds back.
And very impressive consistency of pace for Lundqvist also. Yeah. The fastest lap of the race for Lundqvist is a 1:17.0. That last lap he ran was the fastest of the race that he's run. 1:17.0. That's pretty good. Almost 20 laps in out of 30.
Yep.
Fastest lap of the race overall is a 1:16.9, which has been put down by 2nd place David Malukas. So when you're 2.3 seconds behind and your fastest lap is only 1/10 of a second, better than the guy you're chasing, I don't know if the math works out there without the help of a friendly yellow flag, which we have seen today.
Yep, that's what we're wondering, how it's going to play out. The average speed now is 113 miles an hour. We've had 19 total passes during this race with 1 race leader. No change for the race lead, but there have been 19 passes for position throughout the field. As Lundqvist comes across the stripe once again, 11 laps to go as he keeps lurking towards the title here, trying to get it done. Malukas now 2.2 seconds back.
Down the infield straightaway to turn number 7 for the race leaders. How beautifully he slides that car through turns 8 and 9.
Making it look easy, isn't he? Just smooth.
And you know he's working hard.
Oh, yeah.
But making it look easy, yes.
Off of turn 13. Cruising along. How about that? He is holding on to that position with 10 laps to go. Lundqvist, 1 minute 17.5 is lap time.
He lost a couple tenths there.
He lost a couple of tenths. Yeah, it's under 2 seconds. So maybe Malukas is going to start pushing a little harder here.
Saving up for the charge.
Oh, right. Maybe he's just been biding his time back there. See if he can close the gap. Again, 1.8 seconds was the difference. Let's see if the gap changes next time. By Sowery, same kind of deal. He's been just floating back there about 5 seconds back.
You look at the lap times all the way back through the field. Everyone in the field, their last lap was in the 1 minute 17 second bracket. All the way back through.
Yeah, it's real tight. Very tight. DeFrancesco still in 7th. Frost 6th. Peroni 5th. Kirkwood 4th. Sowery is 3rd. And there goes the race leader across the start-finish line. And, yeah, he's closing the gap a little bit. It went from 1.8 down to 1.7. Only 9 laps to go.
Good look at the car of David Malukas, the HMD Motorsports machine. Say he's a big Chicago Blackhawks fan.
Is that right?
So he's heard a certain singer that we've become quite familiar with in these parts quite a bit, I would assume.
Jim Cornelison will be here to sing that traditional Back Home Again in Indiana. All part of the fun pre-race festivities coming up with the Indy 500. But first, we've got lots of fun before that. Grand Prix tomorrow, then they'll make the big switch, get the oval ready for the first practice session on Tuesday of next week. All right, here comes Mr. Lundqvist again. Let's see what that lead looks like with 8 laps to go. 8 laps remaining, and the gap is at 1.7. Not the same.
To the 100th of a second, as it was a lap ago. So a nice, steady, solid lap there for Lundqvist. Whoop, there's a little miss down in turn 1.
Well, that's costly for Kirkwood. He was in 4th. Yeah, he's going to maintain position, it looks like.
Driver from Jupiter, Florida, in the Road to Indy Cooper Tires Contractors Club machine for Andretti Autosport. 2019 Indy Pro 2000 champion. Had to defer using that scholarship to get here to Indy Lights because of the COVID hiatus of a year ago. But here he is, having just a bit of a moment down there in turn 1.
It's good buddies with Oliver Askew, the 2019 champ. No issues right now for Lundqvist. Just out for a Friday afternoon cruise as he comes back to the start-finish line again. 7 laps to go. Making it look easy and stretched the lead back to a 1.9. He was at 1.77 before, now 1.9.
Toby Sowery, 7.1 seconds behind. In the 3rd place, Kirkwood now 10 seconds back in 4th place. And 13 seconds back in 5th place is Alex Peroni. How frustrating that must be for Malukas to be out there giving it all you've got and just can't find any ground to gain on the leader in front of him.
Well, because he was so strong on that earlier pass he had on Sowery in the opening laps, and now it's just kind of settled down and hasn't been able to get within about a second and a half. Has been about the closest he's come to catching Lundqvist, who's just in cruise control. Right there at the start-finish line. He has 6 laps to go. Solid pace. Each and every lap is solid. So Malukas kind of wondering, maybe we'll get a yellow here, huh?
Hoping at this point.
It's hoping. Because it doesn't look like he's going to be able to reel him in without some help.
Down the infield straight they go toward turn number 7. A heavy braking zone there.
Linus Lundqvist from Sweden is cruising along. Love the new cars, by the way. Just beautiful.
Very much so.
And he's already in turn 13.
13, 14 coming up as they exit back out onto the main straightaway. And we'll come down and see 5 laps to go for Lundqvist at the Yard of Bricks.
What a thrill for these young drivers getting a chance to race at Indy, you know?
It's what it's all about. It's what they're all working toward, is to find a way to be a regular driver in the NTT Data IndyCar Series, to have a chance to race in the Indianapolis 500.
David Malukas, the Chicagoan, is pedaling as hard as he can right now, trying to catch up with the Swedish driver for that top spot. But right now he's got a solid second place. Sowery headed to the podium. If they can keep it together with 5 laps.
Caution free in this race so far. Lundqvist has led all of the laps after getting a great jump on the initial start from pole position.
Yeah, and the average speed has climbed to 113.4 miles an hour. A solid pace as Lundqvist works smoothly through 12. There he is in turn 13, that big lefty. Back another big sweeping right-hander. Onto the front straight, it's Indianapolis, 4 to go.
All 13 starters still running, all 13 still on the lead lap in this race. Been a very clean race so far. Only a couple of cars have made the momentary excursion to the escape road or off into the grass.
And the lead is back over 2 seconds, Alan. He pulled away a little bit more, 2.1.
And if you're the second place driver, isn't that depressing?
It's got to be. Yeah, you're pushing as hard as you can and getting the information on board that the lead is stretched on you again.
When this race concludes, we'll have the second race of the day in the USF 2000 series, and then point ourselves toward 4:30 this afternoon when the NTT Data IndyCar Series is on track for qualifications in the Firestone Fast 6, all still to come on a busy Friday here at the Speedway. Off of turn 14 onto the main straightaway.
Yeah, this is a tough day for these teams. Boy, you got to really dial in, going from practice to qualifying, all in the matter of a couple of hours. Engineers back in the garages working, trying to get ready to go. The lead still for Lundqvist is at 2 seconds. 3 laps to go. This Indy Lights Grand Prix. Sowery is 8 seconds back of the leader.
Yeah, these top two have put a gap on the rest of the field for sure.
They really have.
Almost the length of that infield straightaway from second back to third. And opportunities for a mistake in front of him beginning to dwindle for David Malukas as he continues to track Linus Lundqvist's every move, but Lundqvist holding that steady 2-second advantage with just a little over 2 laps to go in the race.
Yeah, he's got a solid groove right now, trying to bring it home. At the line, we'll have 2 to go. He's over in turn 13. And clean air in front of him. No traffic at all, no lap traffic to worry about. He's just flying. Here he is, 2 to go. And that lead is still a solid 2 seconds. Very, very consistent each and every lap. Impressive performance over the past 36 minutes of this race. Just from the start, he's been on it. Really no changes in the middle of the pack, too. You got Peroni, Frost, DeFrancesco, McGuinness.
Yeah, had a couple of good scraps for position in the mid stages of the race, but those have all settled out for the moment, and the attention all up front as it should be for these top two, the closest fight for position on the racetrack and the most important fight for position on the racetrack with just over 1 lap to go.
Stingray ROBB back in 9th. Kirkwood has maintained that 4th spot after the missing of turn number 1 down there, but he's back in solid 4th. So here comes the 26 of Linus Lundqvist with the white flag waving. 1 to go. A dominating performance. Can he bring it home on this, the final lap? 14 turns to go. Here he is setting up for turn number 1. Let's watch him in 1. He's smooth in 1. Safely through 2. Now setting up for that big sweeper in turn 3 into 4. Quickly through turn 5. Here he is going to turn 6 to Hallman Boulevard. Taking a glance to the mirrors, making sure he's good to go. Malukas hoping to make one last challenge, hoping that maybe Lundqvist would make a mistake, but so far he's smooth. He's through that tricky turn 7, that passing zone. He's in 8. Big sweeping turn in turn 10. Here comes Lundqvist trying to bring it home. The Indy Lights Grand Prix. He is over in turn 12. Malukas hoping to make one last dash. It's not going to happen. Lundqvist is in 13. Coming off of the big turn number 14. Let's bring him home, fans. Here he is. Linus Lundqvist wins the Indy Lights Grand Prix. Nice work. What a dominating performance. He led start to finish. He grabbed the lead on that first turn, lap number 1, and led all 30 laps. Alan, what a solid effort.
Not a wheel set wrong throughout the entire race. Solid job as well by David Malukas, who finishes second, 2.3 seconds behind. In third will be Toby Sowery, who will round out the podium in the first of 2 races this weekend at the Speedway for the Indy Lights Series. 22-year-old Linus Lundqvist from Stockholm, Sweden, is a winner at Indianapolis.
What a great show it was. We'll have a big celebration coming up on the victory podium in just a matter of moments as the drivers bring it back along pit lane. But boy, what a show and what a dominating performance, man. 1 minute 17.2 on the last lap. His fastest lap was a 1 minute 16.8. Malukas also had a lap at 1 minute 16.9. So they were flying and putting on a great show as the celebration is underway along pit lane. Here are the unofficial results. Lundqvist, Malukas, Sowery, Kirkwood, Peroni, and Daniel Frost in 6th as you take a glance at the video boards.
And the remainder of the top 12, DeFrancesco, McGuinness, ROBB, Peterson, SERRAVALLE, and Bogle, with LASTOCHKIN rounding out the runners, all 13 finishing that started in this one, and all 13 finishing on the lead lap.
Watching the new champion coming back along pit lane. We'll be going to Katie Kyle down below and hear from the winner. 22-year-old. What a thrill it is. Getting a pat on the head there and a handshake and a high five. That's got to feel so good to be able to dominate start to finish like that. Can only imagine.
Just to win here at Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Just to win. So good.
You have to say that you've won a race here. Gloves are coming off. Standing by, NBC's down there. We'll be jumping in for an interview with Katie Kyle. And he's climbing out of the car. Let's give him a round of applause. Nice work, young man.
And you can see, certainly it is a relief for Linus Lundqvist to get the win here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And Linus, you said your heart beat a little bit faster when you crossed those yard of bricks. How fast is it beating now with the win here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
Well, I think it's gonna take a couple of hours for my heartbeat to come down, but yeah, no, feels incredible to give this one back to the team, and to get a 1-2 with me and David as well is incredible. So a massive thank you to them, all of my supporters, sponsor, and Honda HPD for getting me here today.
Speaking passing of your teammate David Malukas. I was in the pit box when David Malukas started just ever so slightly to close that gap on you, and there's a little friendly rivalry between your engineers. What's the rivalry like between you and David?
I think it's at a very good level so far. I mean, obviously we're both here to win the championship, and that's what we're ultimately fighting for. But to be able to do that, you need to win races, and it seems to be that it's very close between us. So either one of us that has the better day, I think is going to end up on the podium or the win.
And your better day means that you are now the championship points leader. Linus, congratulations.
Nice work and congratulations. What a dominating performance as he gets it done. One race leader, 19 passes, average speed 113 miles an hour. Lundqvist leads start to finish for the title. Nice work by him. Hey, race fans, please remember to keep a safe distance between yourself and others and wear a face covering while you're on the grounds. Hand sanitizer can be found throughout the property. Please wash your hands regularly. And of course, all individuals are required to follow posted instructions while visiting the speedway to protect yourself and others from COVID-19 exposure. So again, please remember to keep proper social distance between yourself and wear a mask at all times unless you are having something to eat or drink. Thank you for following the safety protocols. We appreciate it.
And don't forget that COVID-19 vaccinations are available here at the Speedway right now. In less than 30 minutes, you can get your shot at the IU Health vaccination stations located at gates 1, 6, and 9.
I was out here, I think it was March, first having.
Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie Cooper.
Championship so close you can taste it.
Oliver Askew has won the Freedom 100.
Side by side. And your new champion, Christian Rasmussen. The championship so close you can taste it.
Oliver Askew has won the Freedom 100.
Side by side. And your new champion, Christian Rasmussen. The championship so close you can taste it.
Oliver Askew has won the Freedom 100.
Side by side. And your new champion, Christian Rasmussen.
Championship battle heating up already. 5 races in, just 4 points separate first and second. Both drivers under the same tent, though. Coming from HMD Motorsports, finishing second today from Chicago, Illinois, David MALUKAS. And last but not least, the driver who will stand on top of the podium, his second win of the season, takes over the point lead in the process. It's been an incredible start to this program. His debut here on the road to Indy. Part of the Swedish invasion, ladies and gentlemen. P1 for Global Racing Group with HMD Motorsports, Linus Lundqvist. Incredible run for Linus. Able to get out front, lead flag to flag. I asked him on IndyCar radio if the car could get any better. He said no. He's just got to replicate what they did today. Drivers, grab your trophies if you will, please, so much, and get some shots here. Again, drivers like David MALUKAS coming through USF 2000 into Indy Pro. That's where Toby Sowery made his debut alongside MALUKAS at BN Racing at that point. Now they're rivals. And throw in Linus Lundqvist to the championship equation now. This is going to be an exciting season. Second race win for Linus Lundqvist, again, the driver out of Sweden. Great to have him here as part of the program, and we've had a number of winners so far this year. 3 winners. Well, we see 4 winners tomorrow when we do it again before the GMR Grand Prix. One more race for you here on the road to Indy today. Second race of a triple header for the Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship. Those drivers getting themselves prepped up and ready to go right now in the paddock area. We'll have them out here for a race very soon. IndyCar qualifying still to come here today. Again, the drivers doing the traditional hat dance here in Tatis Victory Lane. Number of different hats going on. Always a pleasure and a thrill to be on the podium here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and on his debut here at IMS, Linus Lundqvist, the winner. Champagne will fly, folks, one more time. Round of applause for my top 3 in Indy Lights. Toby Sowery third, David MALUKAS second, and for the second time in the 2021 season, Linus Lundqvist victorious in Indy Lights.